Hello and welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel for the latest edition of the EFL Betting Show. And my name is Matt Hill. I'm your host alongside my esteemed EFL expert, Gab Sutton. And if you're watching for the first time, well, welcome along. It's a very simple concept here on the EFL Betting Show. What we'll do is myself and Gab will make 3 picks each from across the upcoming weekend slate of action across the Championship, League One and League Two. There might be some agreement. There certainly is this week. And there might be some disagreement too. But what we'll end up with is a range of picks which will hopefully help guide you on your way ahead of the weekend's punting. We're getting, I think we officially declared it business end of the season last week, Gab. And there's a lot of these games, as I look down the coupon this weekend, feel like they had a lot riding on them for a lot of sides. And I think particularly the first game that we're going to touch on, it is a massive game for both. And we've both landed on the same selection. This doesn't happen very often. Now, I will say we both landed on Cambridge a couple of weekends ago, and that proved to be a winning selection. So let's hope we can continue that trend. It's Luton to beat Middlesbrough. Now, I think I'm going to give myself the honour, and you can just follow on from my wise words, Gab, because I'm a little bit concerned that we're just going to make the same argument twice here. But look, we're both fancying Luton here at 7-4. That is the top price. There is money coming for Luton, so you might need to move quick if you want to take that 7-4. But here's why I thought it was worth a little bit of a go. It is a bit of a price play, I will say. I'm not mad keen on getting with Luton this season, but I think the odds here merit a little bit of a chance. Last week, I actually talked Middlesbrough up as maybe getting back on track a little bit. They were coming in off back-to-back wins, heading to Swansea. I fancied them there, but they got beat in South Wales. And although they have bounced back since with a good victory at home over QPR, I think they are a little bit vulnerable here against a Luton side that are maybe just showing signs of being rejuvenated after a couple of much-needed results in the last few weeks. A massive away victory at Cardiff last weekend, which has breathed new life into their survival hopes, I think. They were tonked at Burnley before that. But to me, they're picking up results in the games that really matter at the moment. A really important 1-0 win over Portsmouth. I also watched them play Plymouth Argyle in a really big game down at the bottom, and they've ended up drawing that 1-1, but they were utterly dominant in that game. And when I dived into how their season has panned out a little bit, I was actually pleasantly surprised by their home record at Kenilworth Road, because in my head, I had it a little bit like they were struggling to show that domination that they've shown at home this season. But actually, I think it's more the fact that they've just been absolutely abject away from home, like really bad. And digging into the statistics, they are shocking. They've played 21 games away from home in all competitions, won 2, drawn 3, lost 16. Now, you compare that to their home record at Kenilworth Road. They've won 7, drawn 5, lost 6. So actually, that home record is really quite respectable. It's just the dreadful away record that is holding them down and got them in this relegation scrap. And then I think about Middlesbrough, and as much as I like them and I like Michael Carrick, I think they are a little bit flaky, and you don't need that much confidence to take them on this season, because even when they're in a good groove, you always feel like there's a bit of a rogue result just around the corner. And we've spoke about in recent weeks how their season may just be fizzling out a little bit. Now, I'm talking about a side here that have won 3 out of their last 4, so that may seem a little bit harsh, but when I look at Borough's away record, it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. They've won 6, drawn 3, lost 9. So they've lost 50% of their away games this season. For a playoff contending side, that's a little bit of a worrying statistic for me. And then you're drilling down even deeper. Of the 6 wins they've had on the road, 4 of them came before December. So in recent times, they've really struggled away from home. That was on show again at Swansea last weekend. And I think given the importance of this game for Luton at Kenilworth Road, 7-4 about a home win. I did look at the double chance and the draw no bet, anticipating that Gab was going to try and talk me out of going for a straight win. So imagine my shock when I saw he'd actually put the 7-4. But yeah, I just think at the price, it just tempts me. And 7-4 about another crucial win for Luton here looks big. Gab, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to ask you for the double chance price, because I think that a draw's we're kind of at a stage of the season where a draw's not that much good to teams down the bottom. They're looking to really go and especially at home, really go for the wins that could. I mean, if Luton win this weekend, they could climb out of the relegation zone. It would be their 3rd victory in 4. Like, that incentive is enormous, and I think Luton are going to be very attack-minded in this game. And I don't trust Middlesbrough.
No, neither do I.
that sort of intensity. I think Middlesbrough, at their best, they've been sort of up there with the best sides in the league. However, their floor is just very, very low, and that's why they've just been very inconsistent this season, and it's hard to have much trust in them to deal with the intensity that's going to come with this kind of game. I look at a side like West Brom, who haven't lost many games this season, and I would back them to, okay, they might have an off day, dealing with the intensity of Luton with two up top and the pressure coming their way. Somebody like a West Brom might be able to grind out a draw and, rely on their centre-backs and lean on their defensive shape to get something. I don't think Middlesbrough can really do that. So that's why I wouldn't be my usual self and go for the double chance option like I normally do. I would have to go for
just for anyone that's interested, so my research doesn't go entirely to waste, 19 to 20 about the draw no bet for Luton and 1 to 2 for the double chance, which I thought was very skinny because really it's not like Middlesbrough are not a live dog in the race here. They do obviously have the quality on their day to beat any team in the Championship, so I wouldn't want to be taking 1 to 2 about Borough not winning, but I do think the 7 to 4 about them getting beat does definitely appeal to me. And like I say, I'm not sure that price is going to last either. There seems to be a lot of money, judging by odds checker, coming in for Luton, so there's a lot of minds all thinking the same thing here, and that can only end badly, I fear. But no, everybody seems aligned on the fact that Luton may just offer a shade of value in this weekend's Championship slate. Well, once again, Gab, we're moving to League One, and again, you sent me your picks 5 minutes before we come on air, and I couldn't believe it. The second game, we've also gone for the same fixture. It's your beloved Birmingham that we're going to be talking about here, who go to Northampton. And we've gone for slightly different angles here, I think it's fair to say. So actually, I'll put you in first this time.
Sure.
I don't want to steal the limelight. You're going for under 1.5 goals in this game. I'll give you a clue. The unders line, a different unders line also comes into my thinking here as well. So, we're both expecting a lack of goals here. Tell us why.
Yeah, I think I've just been really impressed. I watched Northampton with my own eyes against Bristol Rovers a few weeks ago now, and what really stood out to me was how good Kevin Nolan's side were at possession in terms of the way they pressed, the intensity, knowing when and how to, but also when they needed to, going and doing it with real vigour. They've got players like Dara Costello and Cameron McGeehan who I think do that really well, and I think it's been a strength of Northampton for a long time over the last 4 years, going back to the start of John Brady's reign in 2021, and it's something Kevin Nolan has actually done really well to just keep those foundations in place. Sometimes you see managers coming in season and want to rip everything up and start again. Sometimes it can be a skill in itself to recognise what's already in place, and I think Kevin Nolan's really done that. And you can see that this is a manager that's worked with Sam Allardyce as the player and David Moyes as the coach, and maybe that influence is rubbing off a bit as well. So you've got this really strong out of possession Northampton side who, since losing 4-1 at Reading in Kevin Nolan's first game, which was actually on Boxing Day, and he was appointed 2 days before Christmas, so wouldn't have had much time to work with the players for that one. So if you strike a line through that, it's pretty much 1 goal a game that Northampton have conceded under Kevin Nolan. So I think it shows that they are very well drilled. And again, very strong out of possession, which I've seen with my own eyes. And I think that out of possession strength is going to suit them facing a side like Birmingham City, who have had 67% possession on average this season. Of course, there's a trade-off there in terms of the level of quality that they're facing. But I think that the fact that they're so comfortable in their out of possession shape is going to suit them in some ways on Saturday. I've got a feeling they might actually be able to grind out a 0-0, and it might be one of our sort of surprise results this weekend. And also, given that we don't tend to be involved in high scoring games anyway, despite being a very dominant side, I'm thinking under 1.5 goals, so that covers us if it's a 0-0, which I've got a feeling it might be. If Northampton somehow manage a smash and grab 1-0 win, or if Northampton hold us out for a long time and we pinch a late goal, or if we score first early on and then manage the game really well. There's a few scenarios there which are plausible to me that that this bet would cover, and I think at 9-4 you get some really good value with that.
Okay, yeah, well, Gab going for 9-4 shout there with under 1.5 goals. Some aggressive picks from you this week, Gab. Really liking it. Safety's gone out the window, caution to the wind. Well, yeah, as suggested, I'm also angling in on this game. I've gone a little bit down a different road here. I'm going to go for the Birmingham win here with under 3.5 match goals. And I must say that the market definitely agrees with you, Gab. There's a lot of respect for Northampton there. Birmingham have been drifting noticeably in the last day or so, out to a top price of sort of 1.7, which some people, would just casually look at the weekend coupon and think, wow, that's quite a big price for Birmingham, given the runaway leaders, and Northampton are no great shakes. But I think you're right. I think if you dig a little bit deeper, the work Kevin Nolan has done, particularly in making Northampton resolute and hard to beat, it definitely deserves that respect and merits that respect. However, I do just find myself coming back to the golfing quality here between the two sides. And I do ultimately feel like Birmingham are really up and rolling now. And I look at the reverse fixture. Granted, Nolan wasn't in charge there. Just 28% possession for Northampton. I think we might see something similar again this time out as they look to stay in that rigid defensive shape. But they did ultimately lose the shot count there, 23-5, and that's an immense amount of pressure that you're going to have to soak up against this Birmingham side. And I think Birmingham maybe just took a little bit of adjusting to the league, and I really have been impressed with them, particularly defensively. I'll add a little bit of a dig into the statistics there, and there was 5 clean sheets in their first 15 games in League One, so going at a 33% strike rate there. But the subsequent 20 games has been 14 clean sheets, so that's a 70% strike rate. And I think Birmingham have really managed to make their class and tell, and really start controlling these games and not giving up many chances at all. And then I guess for me, it just becomes a case of whether I see Birmingham having enough to find a way through against this Northampton side. And I totally respect your opinion there that they may be able to hold out for a 0-0, and I think that the market agrees with you. But ultimately, I'm getting odds against here about Birmingham finding a way through. I don't see a way that this ends up being a 4-1 or a 4-0 or anything like that. In fact, when I look at Blues results and how their wins have come, 16 of the last 17 wins have come with under 3.5 goals, the only exception being a 4-0 home win over Cambridge, who at that time were leaking goals left, right and centre. So Birmingham not going to go hammer and tongs and be racking up 5 or 6 here, I don't think. But I do ultimately feel like when I'm getting 5-4 about them finding a way through, that feels like a really good price to me.
That's it. That's a great spot, Matt. That 16 of our 17 wins have been under 3.5 goals. So I think as much as I've gone with the under 1.5 angle, I think if for anyone wanting to side with Birmingham City, but also wanting to get a bit more juice in the price, going with the under 3.5 goals.
Well, it's a leap from 1.7 to 2.25. It's quite a significant difference. But I think the temptation would be to think, oh, runaway leaders, they're very capable of dishing out big beatings. But you'll know firsthand, Gab, there's a much bigger element of control. There's some similarities with Arne Slot at Liverpool, I would say. Liverpool, under Jurgen Klopp, we associated them with really going for the kill and they keep attacking and attacking. Slot has come in and he's happy to manage games out. And I see a lot of similarities there with Birmingham.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've definitely found a nice way of getting a bit more value in the price. So as much as I've gone with the under 1.5 goals angle for a really chunky price at 9-4, I think that 5-4 shot's a great shot as well.
Well, look, at both games so far, we've got very plausible ways of both going 2 from 2.
Let's hope we win 1-0, Matt.
Hopefully it will be 2 from 2 rather than 0 from 2, because it would be feast or famine at the moment. We're going along similar lines this week. Okay, into League 2 for our final picks then. I'll put you into bat here first, Gab. I'm not very happy about this pick, even though I do kind of agree with it. It's got to have some negative effects for me as a Carlisle fan, if you are correct. But it looks like a great opportunity for Morecambe here to get a crucial 3 points against Barrow. They are at home. They're 21-10, which to me instantly stood out on the League 2 slate. And you could tell us why it caught your eye.
Yeah, I think with Morecambe, you've got a side that deservedly beat AFC Wimbledon 1-0 quite recently. Wimbledon side chasing promotion. Comes back, by the way, I think the big picture is it comes back to what we were talking about with Luton. It's we're coming to the run in, if you like, and teams down the bottom have everything on the line. So I think that's a significant factor as well. That's not true of Barrow. So if this game was played in December, maybe that 21-10 on Morecambe would seem like a pretty standard price. Whereas, seeing as it's played in March, where Morecambe have everything on the line and Barrow are looking to head to a big rebuild where they're going to have a big turnover of players, I think, under Andy Wing, and they're looking to change the squad around. I think Morecambe are really a value play. Bearing in mind, Matt, Morecambe have had 13 of their defeats by a single goal. And although some of those defeats have been, deserved 1-0s or 2-1s, a lot of the time you're looking at it, for Morecambe, they probably could have got something out of that. They could have got a draw. They could have got the first goal and end up winning 1-0 rather than losing 1-0. So they've not been very far away. And yes, they beat Wimbledon 1-0 recently, so that's big for momentum. They did lose 2-1 at MK Dons, but they also created some moments where they're piling, 5, 6, 7 men into the opposing half, so they are able to attack with some intent. And again, they're facing a Barrow side that has a rebuild, plus it's a local derby, so that's going to add another sort of bit of spice to the game from a Morecambe point of view that's going to create a big atmosphere at the Mazuma. So yeah, I think that 21-10 is a really good price around Morecambe. They've got to get wins now. There's no question about it if they want to close that in on Tranmere, Accrington and Harrogate. So yeah, I like that price.
Yeah, I do too, sadly. I'd love to tell you I don't, but I do. I think it's a great opportunity for Morecambe here to really give themselves a good chance. And I think Tranmere have got quite a tough fixture this weekend. I think they're playing Bradford, if I'm right.
Yes, correct.
So, I'd be a bit surprised if they were to win that one. So from Morecambe perspective, you would think a victory here would see them close that gap. And with Carlisle playing Wimbledon as well, potentially extend the gap to Carlisle at the bottom there. So, I think Morecambe, to their credit, we've talked about it numerous times this season. There's no doubt in terms of player quality, they have the weakest squad in the division, but they have, in my opinion, one of the most capable managers in Derek Adams, and they have a really crucial element that maybe other teams at the bottom don't. They have an excellent team spirit and a real belief, and I think that team spirit is crucial when you are losing more than you win, because it really does get put under scrutiny how strong your characters are, how easily able you can shrug off defeat and go again. And I think, it's not for every player to be in a team where you're losing most weeks. I think some can really see their performance levels drop. Whereas I think Morecambe, there's probably an understanding with these players that, okay, we've been cobbled together at quite short notice. We're maybe lacking in quality. We are going to lose a lot of games, but we're also capable of getting it right on our day. And I can't help but admire them and the way they've gone about it this season. I think it is a great chance for them to get a win. And I think, sadly, that 21-10 is probably a good spot from yourself. Okay, my selection in League Two to round us off is a familiar name, a man I've spoken about a few times on this channel this season, and it's Alassana Jatta. I'm going to go for him, anytime goal scorer at home to Chesterfield 7-4. Notts County, I think it's fair to say, Gab, I've had quite a big wobble in the last couple of months. Automatic promotion hopes looked like they were maybe closing up, but for their benefit, there's a few teams around the top that are wobbling, aren't they? Even the leaders, Walsall, have had a good wobble in the last couple of months, and it's still up for grabs for Notts County. I do sort of find myself feeling they might come up just short and have to settle for the playoffs, but I would probably, if they did end up in the playoffs, make them possibly my favourites to get up there. I do think they've got a lot of quality in their ranks, and just sometimes it hasn't quite clicked for them. But when they're at their best, they're a joy to watch. I've really enjoyed watching them 2 or 3 times this season. And they come up against a Chesterfield side here who are quite porous defensively. Even though they've improved results recently, they are rather leaking goals, Chesterfield. And I don't know how they'll feel about this season, the Sparrows, really, because I think they had high hopes coming into it, and it probably hasn't hit the heights that they would have expected. A lot of frustrating results for them. But like I say, they've found some good form now. But when I look at the defensive record, they've kept only 2 clean sheets in their last 14 league games. And both of those clean sheets came in games where their opposition were reduced to 10 men after 20 minutes. So, it would really, really worry me coming up against one of the best, if not the best forward line front pairing in League Two in David McGoldrick and Alassana Jatta. Now, it is Jatta who has taken slightly more of the headlines this season for his goal scoring, but there was a bit of interest around in January. Plymouth were linked with him amongst some other clubs. Notts County managed to fend off that interest, and that could be the difference between promotion and no promotion come May. I think I really do like Jatta. Physical presence, pace, he's strong. He's a headache for every League Two defender, and he can finish. He's the joint top scorer in the division alongside Michael Cheek. He's locked in a battle for the Golden Boot there. I've backed Jatta at 25-1, cards on the table. So every week I'm cheering him on. And I'm a little bit surprised to see that he's 7-4 here against a Chesterfield team who, like I say, find it impossible to keep clean sheets. He scored in the reverse fixture, a 2-2 draw. So, evidence there that maybe Chesterfield struggled to handle him, as a lot of League Two defences have this season. And I think as well, next to him, David McGoldrick is in fine form. And McGoldrick is one of the least selfish strikers that you're likely to see at this level. A very, very good link-up man, very intelligent, obviously played at Premier League for many years and Championship level. And Jatta, actually, I saw an interview with the pair of them after a game recently where Jatta credited McGoldrick for all his success and said he's learning so much and enjoys so much playing with him. And I do feel like with McGoldrick in good form, that enhances the chances of Jatta scoring. Whereas with some strike partnerships, you'd maybe think that both of them are chasing to be top scorer, and maybe it negatively impacts the other one. I actually think McGoldrick gets as much of a kick out of Jatta scoring as he does scoring himself. And I think that's probably testament to where he's at in his career. He's kind of achieved, he's climbed his mountain. Now he's happy to be helping another forward on their way up the pyramid, and I do believe that's where Alassana Jatta is destined for, to move up the pyramid. 7-4 with Bet365 anytime goal scorer. Generally, he's a lot closer to 11-8 across the board elsewhere. I don't mind Bet365 sticking their chest out and taking him on, and I'm happy to chance it at 7-4 that he can strengthen my Golden Boot bet and get Notts County back on track in the automatic promotion race.
Matt, I'm feeling like you've got the script there for a feel-good movie about Dave McGoldrick, the wizened man with the beard, helping out a young lad.
I just say what I see, honestly. Look, he didn't. I'm sure he could have gone. He could have stayed higher up the pyramid if he wanted to, couldn't he? And he's come back to Notts County, a club that means a lot to him. And I just feel like sometimes you watch a player play at it, like you can see that they're enjoying it. He just, every time I see it, he just loves, like he's loving life, and fair play to him. I wish more players would actually do that. Maybe in the tail end of their career, come back to a club that they played for earlier on down the pyramid and just enjoy the last years of their career, because there's no doubt he'll have made his money. He's had a very successful career. Comes across like a great guy, and David McGoldrick fan club over here. I really do find myself rooting for Notts County. I like the balance of their team. I think they're a great club, and I hope they go up this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly second those words. I think Chesterfield, it's been an awkward one for them, because they came up with a huge amount of optimism after winning the National League title. They did have a great squad on paper. I think they've been very unlucky partly with injuries. I'm sure they've had a double-figured injury list for much of the season, which certainly doesn't help. And they haven't really been able to settle on a best 11, which I'm sure has hindered Paul Cook. And then Dylan Markande, so influential, wasn't he, out wide in the first half of the season, got recalled by Blackburn Rovers and sent out to Leyton Orient. So, it's been tough circumstances for Chesterfield. I'm sure they'll be motivated to try and stop their local rivals from getting promoted, but with a sort of Nottinghamshire versus Derbyshire kind of feel to the clash. But I think Notts County with Alassana Jatta, with the form that he's been in this season, 7-4 looks a big price.
Yeah, scored last time out against Grimsby as well with 4 shots. And the amount of games, when you go on his FB ref, which is a great resource for anytime goal scorers, because you can see the amount of shots they've taken in each individual game. And his shot output, it really is, even in the games he doesn't score, he always seems to manage to get 2 or 3 efforts away. He's a very hard man to keep quiet at this level, isn't he? So I always feel like I'm going in with a strong chance. And anytime I can get around 7-4, I generally end up chancing it. And he's paid me well this season, Alassana. So, let's hope you get over the line in that Golden Boot race. I'm cheering for you. Gab, just before we wrap up and do our selections, you're telling me off camera that you're going to a really interesting game in League One this weekend between Wycombe and Wrexham. Just love to get your thoughts on how you see that game panning out, because it's a massive game for both sides.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm fascinated by this game, Matt, because it's like if you look at the table, these are second versus third. Obviously, the top two get automatics in League One, and it's very much a race for second. But I'm not necessarily convinced by either side going into the running for different reasons. Because I think Wickham have gone for a manager who we know he's a great coach, but at the business end of a season, you need somebody who can really motivate players and sort of get a team over the line, and it's about man management and how good Mike Dodds is going to be from that point of view as a number one, as opposed to being part of a coaching structure. I think that's a big question mark for me that I'd love to see some answers to. And then from Wrexham's point of view, if you ask a question mark for them, they've got 7 strikers right after their January where they signed another 2 strikers. And don't get me wrong, I think Sam Smith and Jay Rodriguez are great additions, but they only really have one number 10 in Elliot Lee. So their whole strategy is long balls and crosses into the box. And if the centre forwards are on their game and they dominate the opposing centre halves, then happy days for Wrexham. However, if the centre halves win those duels and head out those long balls and crosses, the ball's going to land at the feet of the number 10. And if it's just Elliot Lee, the only option, he's going to get a bit jaded. Bearing in mind, I'm not sure Elliot Lee I would necessarily class as absolutely one of the top players in the division. So that's my question mark for those two sides. For Wickham, have they got a manager that can get them over the line? And for Wrexham, have they got enough of a diversity in terms of how they can hurt teams? And so those are 2 big questions that I'd like to see some answers to on Saturday afternoon. And if it's a stalemate, then that opens things up for the likes of Charlton, Bolton and Stockport to punch their way into the equation.
Yeah, I was just going to say with Wickham, a lot of draws since Mick Dodds came into the club, and it's how do you have a glass empty or glass half full, I guess. But yeah, they're still competitive, they're still there. But I just have this nagging feeling, like yourself, that they're going to fall short, and it might feel like an opportunity missed, given the position they found themselves in a month or 2 ago. Obviously, some unavoidable circumstances with Matt Bloomfield choosing to leave, but I think a lot of question marks around Dodds as the choice of the successor. Comes across like a nice guy. I wish him the best, but yeah, I do have my concerns as well. And Wrexham, I don't know. I just feel like they do have this thing around them where the extra media attention. I'm expecting them to pull it out of the fire, but I must say, on the raw visuals of what I've seen, I would have similar concerns to you. And I think when you have a team breathing down your necks the way Charlton are at the moment, that's got to be petrifying both of these sides, because they're looking really, really good, Nick, don't they? And Nathan Jones is in full swing with his strange pre-match comments about, not going shopping in Blue Water and stuff. He's really, that's when you get...
I'm glad he's not like that over the full season, because I would find that a bit too intense.
Yeah, no,
I always say, just let me have a morning coffee, Nathan.
It's a worrying sign when Nathan Jones starts acting like that. He's really in his groove, which is ominous for the rest of League One. But anyway, I hope you enjoy that game, Gab. It's a great one to be attending, and I'll keep a keen eye on it. So before we wrap up this week, then, I will just bring our best bets back onto the screen for you to scribble down at haste. That was starting with Gabs. Obviously, we've got some similarities here. We both fancy Luton to beat Middlesbrough at 7-4. Northampton v Birmingham. You're going for the under 1.5 goals at a more aggressive 9-4 than my selection. And you've made a good compelling case for Morecambe to beat Barrow. A crucial victory that would be for them at 21-10. Gab, what would your nap be for this weekend?
My nap? I will go for Luton to beat Middlesbrough.
Now the question is, do I double nap? Do I do the double nap? Do you know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to do Birmingham to beat Northampton with under 3.5 goals. Odds against it. I just really, really like it. I think to get the boost from 7-10 all the way up to 5-4, just for this to be under 3.5, given what we've seen from Birmingham this season and all the statistics point towards it. I think that 5-4 is a really, really solid bet this weekend. But I like all of them. I really like that we're aligned on Luton at 7-4. I wouldn't argue with any of your selections this week, mate. So I'm wishing us for a full house. It can happen. We will need a 1-0 to Birmingham for it to happen. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, Gab, it's been a pleasure as always, mate. If you're not already subscribed to the Odds Now YouTube channel, do please hit that subscribe button. We massively appreciate it. Give us a thumb up if you enjoyed this week's video. And myself and Gab will be back next Friday to give you the lowdown on the EFL action. Good luck if you're punting, and we'll see you again very soon.